Hey, I wanted to take a minute and talk to you about what I'm doing here, why I'm doing it, what I hope to accomplish, and a little bit about me. My name is Jason. I lead worship at Quest Church, which is a church plant near Cincinnati, and I've been writing worship songs and posting them, and I hope that it might be helpful to other worship leaders who are wanting to do things in a similar vein, and also to be a resource for Quest Church, particularly for the core group, so that when we come together, these songs will be familiar to us. And so far these songs have been hymns that I've rewritten, or some might say contextualized for modern worship. And there are a lot of good reasons to do that, and I'm just going to share a few with you of why I do it. First of all, and probably most importantly, is there's been a trend in the past few years in the big C church or the global church back toward hymns, and particularly in churches that had shied away from hymns. And it's sort of my testimony. I know a lot of folks that sort of have been awakened to the richness of hymns. And I don't think this is an accident, but I think it's something that God has orchestrated, and particularly for the church in the United States, I think this is very important. And the reason it's important is for my reason number two, why I do it. And that is that hymns, in a way that a lot of our more modern worship songs don't, provide us with a framework to deal with things like suffering and death and doubt. And I was challenged recently to think about the fact that in any congregation there will be people that, if not that very moment, in the very near future, will be confronted with death. And this may be a very literal death, or it might be more of a metaphorical sense of death, in the sense that we are all, at times in our lives, pinned against the wall in certain situations. Whether it's a relationship that's falling apart, or just the doubt that we all face, or maybe literal death, but we all face these, what Carl Yossers calls ultimate situations, where we just feel pinned against the wall, like this is an important moment. Really, it isn't a bad way to say it, confrontation with death. And we need to be equipping people with a language and a framework, a point of reference from which to begin to talk about these things. And in general, of course not on the whole, but in general, more modern worship songs deal with our emotional response to God, or our feeling toward God, which is a good thing, but we don't need a steady diet of only that. And conversely, hymns, not in general, or in general, but not on the whole, deal with characteristics of God that are true despite our feeling about them, despite our condition. And a lot of times they deal with the fact that we don't always wholly believe these things. A lot of times they'll make a statement about God, and then it'll say, and even though I don't totally believe this all the time, it is true, and God help me, echoing the sentiment of Scripture that says, Lord, I believe, but help my disbelief. So we definitely need a balance of these things, but I think that hymns are a good part of a healthy diet. And thirdly, I would say about contextualization of hymns, that it is in the spirit of the original hymn writers. At no point was piano and organ a sacred form of music. Rather, it was the popular music at the time that they were written. Martin Luther in particular is known for taking bar songs or saloon songs and writing a hymn text to go with these melodies. And I think that they would not mind at all that we take their text that is rich in doctrine and truth, and we, for lack of a better way to put it, make it more palatable for a modern audience. And I think they would actually encourage that. They would be excited about that. And lastly, if you're a Quest person, I would ask you to think about our what drives us, our mission, to really reach the culture of people that have been sort of disillusioned by the church, or even folks that are maybe still in church but feel separated, feel sort of isolated in a way. That I think that the recontextualization of hymns is consistent with our mission. And I know it's probably the mission of other churches out there, to sort of redeem things that have become stale or old or meaningless. Things as simple as communion, things that become ritualized and lose their meaning, but we want to sort of pump life back into it. and really sort of steal it back for God. Take it from from sort of the stale religion and put this life back into it. So that's that on hymns. Of course, there are a lot of other good reasons to use hymns. I would just say quickly that it provides a sense of connectedness with the global church and the old church. It assures people that we are not a part of something that is a fad, but we are a part of something that is much, much bigger than us, and has been, and God has been faithful to people throughout the ages. So there's that on hymns. And also, as Quest Church begins to develop a life of its own, a culture of its own, I'll also be writing songs that are specific to Quest Church. But feel free to steal them if you like them. Take ideas from it, change it, whatever. I hope that this site inspires people and equips the church. Yeah, I reckon that is it. And thanks a lot. Please let me know what you think. Please be critical. And yeah, thanks.